Welcome to RAUKANTEX in the Interior Solutions division. My name is Matthias Hacker, and I'm here with Robert Bochmann from the Application Technology Department. Today, we're going to talk about different edge banding variants from the RAUKANTEX program. Let's start with a pure edge, the classic primer edge band. What should we keep in mind with this edge band?
Let me take a look at it. I can recognize it by using a UV lamp on the back side, where you can see that the primer has been applied. And the primer is there to ensure that it works with all adhesives available on the market. That means a universal primer has been applied. If I don't have the standard adhesive that's commonly used on the market, we at RAUKANTEX can also offer to test it for you. Exactly. Then I'll make a test piece and tear it off once. After the curing time, I always have to follow the manufacturer's instructions. Normally, the primer always works, but if I do have concerns, I send a sample part to us at RAUKANTEX, and then we test it with the pull-off device to a defined Newton value. And in this way, we can ensure that we achieve optimal bonding.
In addition to the edges for conventional bonding, we also have zero joint edges in our range. There's the RAUKANTEX Plus as an entry-level model. What makes this edge special?
The RAUKANTEX Plus is the entry point into zero joint technology. It's basically an optical zero joint, and it no longer requires any adhesive. On the back, I have an amplified functional layer, which is already applied to the edge band. I activate it, and again, it can be activated using all conventional methods available on the market. That means laser, NUR, or hot air. This melts it and presses it onto the component. What do I achieve with this? This gives me access to the zero joint and optical zero joint. I have a fairly light, that is a soft functional layer on the backside. If I clean here a lot over the years, I'll easily wear that away, and eventually you'll see the joint. That's why it's called the entry into the zero joint.
You say entry? Exactly. And for that, we also have the RAUKANTEX Pro in our portfolio. That one is of course more for those with higher demands, or let's say for better quality. What is the RAUKANTEX Pro? What makes it special?
With this one, compared to the other, we have a much harder functional layer, and this functional layer also requires a bit more energy. I can always check the core, where there's an energy value, an e-spec value, and for example, for a white edge, it says 26 joules, and that's the value I always set on the machine. I have one more point about this edge here, about the Pro edge with the hard functional layer. In this case, compared to the others, there's always a perfectly color-matched functional layer. So I have a visually and permanently seamless joint. Here, I could wipe it off with a clothas I mentioned earlier, but I can't wipe away this joint anymore, because the functional layer is so hard and it's also resistant to chemicals. It actually originated from laboratory development. Here we're talking about industrial level standards.
Back then, it was commonly known as the laser edge, or more precisely, laser edge bending, a significant advancement in the field. Perhaps it would be beneficial to briefly discuss and elaborate on the various different methods that are currently employed. We have the highly advanced and innovative seamless joint techniques, and also the more traditional and conventional bonding methods. There are also significant differences that we can achieve between them. Perhaps a quick summary: what are the advantages of seamless joint technology?
If I'm using glue, I always have to melt the glue pot, and if there's old EVA in it, it gets browner over time and discolors. Here I'm typically limited to just 2 or 3 colors. I don't have more color options than that. If I have a black edge, I can use a dark glue. If I have a white edge, I use a white or light colored glue. But I can't just use a red glue for a red edge. That's where zero joint technology comes in, where we've always colored the functional layer on the back to match the panel. But with the entry-level model, we're talking about a smaller color portfolio, and with the Pro edge, that's the all-rounder, it's always individually matched. That way, I get a perfect zero joint.
And that's without changing the adhesive. Important, and for machine availability, faster with zero joint processes.
Exactly. I don't have to wait until I can melt PU or something like that, because it's a reactive adhesive that hardens, and I have to remove and dispose of the leftover every time. Instead, here on the edge, the functional layer is always perfectly applied. I can insert it, press start. With a laser, I don't even have any preheating time. With hot air, it takes 2 minutes, then it's warm, and I can start producing 1 meter, 2 meters, the smallest quantities, over and over, even several times throughout the day. With adhesive, I have a lot more work with heating up, cleaning, and tidying up.
The carrier edge is always the same everywhere, in the required quality. On storage, a common market question. What do you say about that?
Exactly, that's specified in our TLV. We guarantee that the edgeband can be stored for 1 year. Of course, it needs to be stored dust-free, dry, and ideally protected from UV light. But after 2 years, it's not completely ruined and unusable. Instead, I take the edgeband, make a sample component, tear it off by hand once, and check if the adhesion is still good. If it's good, I can go ahead with production.
So the advantages have basically been discussed between conventional bonding and zero-joint techniques. The customer essentially chooses the right edgeband according to their quality requirements. Finally, there's the question of availability.
Here's how it is. If I choose the first edgeband, the classic with the primer, the pure edgeband, there's plenty available in any length. I can get it delivered starting from a minimum order of 1 meter, and it's in stock. With the Plus edgeband, we also offer it starting from 1 meter, and it can be shipped out the same day. With the Pro edgeband, we always ship starting from 1 roll. This is due to the manufacturing process, but it also means I get industrial quality.
So Robert, we've now talked about the relevant technologies and the different edgebands from the RAUKANTEX portfolio.
Everything else can be found in the technical delivery agreement. There I can find everything important, all summarized again. If you need further assistance, feel free to contact us at RAUKANTEX Technical Support, and we'll be happy to help.